Hey, Chael, how come whenever MMA guys go over to fight boxers, everything has to happen completely under the boxer's rules? Why can't we have some sort of hybrid like they fight in an octagon and they use 4 ounce gloves and they fight three 5 minute rounds? So they have to actually win two of those early and fast. It's always unfair. That seems like it would make it better. I'd love to hear you talk about it.
All right, multiple reasons, and I don't fully know where to start on that. I mean, let's start with this. What you just described is not a sport. How's that for beginners? If it's not a sport and combat within these United States is regulated by a commission who works at the discretion of the Attorney General's office under the pleasure of the governor, you can't do it. It's not a sport. Now, you could submit this. You could go to certain jurisdictions. You could try to turn this in. You could go for this hybrid business. It'd be very hard for them to just reject it, considering everything that you said is allowed in some fashion. So we're going to combine from this sport. We're going to combine things over here. We're going to go out and do it. There will be jurisdictions that will do that. But to start with, it's not a sport. Second, I'm not taking that risk. And I am not risk adverse. I am not prudish when it comes to putting up money to trying to pursue a business. I will search for those ROIs every day, but I'll just use myself. I'm not promoting that because I can't explain it. If it's not a sport that's very well known, how do I get it on ESPN? I call over to ESPN. Hey, I got this new thing going on here. Well, what is it, Chael? So it's not boxing, it's not MMA. How should we explain that to our audience? Okay, I tell you what, Chael, do 2 or 3 of them, and maybe if we understand it, we can do it down the road. But that's the way that would work. It's the number one reason why jiu-jitsu can't get off the ground. Anybody who starts a jiu-jitsu organization that wants to be a producer, they go buy their little black suit so they can be a promoter. They're putting out their little press releases and they're signing their little grapplers. Every single one of them also in that same day will create their own rules. There is not 2 organizations on the face of God's earth that follow the same rules, which is why you can't get it on SportsCenter. It could be Buchecha versus Hodge or Gracie, no media covered because you can't explain what you're doing. Basketball's real easy. It doesn't make a goddamn if you got 9-year-olds, if you got junior high, you got high school, you got college. It doesn't matter. A bucket's worth 2 points. If you're behind the line, it's 3. If you're on the free throw line, it's a point apiece. It's 4 quarters. There's a halftime. You got 2 referees. I mean, it's the same sport. So what you're talking about doing is combining or making up a sport. So let's say I go do that. Let me just use myself. I'm going to grab Tyson Fury. I'm going to get all the attention. I got the big bad guy, but I've also rigged the rules, and I'm going to find a way to beat Tyson Fury. Let's say I do that. What do I call myself when it's done? How do I have any kind of a lineage when it's done? He will still be the greatest boxer. I will still be the greatest MMA guy. We got together and we did this thing. What do we call that? Hybrid MMA boxing? Is that what we call? So I'm the hybrid MMA boxing champion, which has no lineage, no rankings, no other events. 5 years from now, people don't know what it is. Some people that see, they think it looks weird. So now I don't get any credit. Why don't I just go arm wrestle the son of a bitch? I mean, if it's just about beating Tyson Fury, me and him, let's go arm wrestle. Do you see the difference? I mean, do you at least see what the problem is? So who's going to get behind that? And then if you are going to do it in a star-driven business, you got to bring in big names. Big names don't want to do it because they don't even know what they're getting into. If you don't know what you're getting into, how do you prepare for it? What coach could you go out to find that can prepare you for an event that's never taken place? Do you see the problem? So, okay, it's a cash grab. We just want a bunch of money from you guys. Some promoter's going to lose a pile, which has kept the sport of combat alive from day one. No one makes any money. You count on one hand all the guys that have ever profited in this business. So you find somebody that loses money. And generally, that's a guy that got into business or a hedge fund. He's got a few bucks in his pocket, and he was picked on in high school. So he's willing to part with his money as long as you associate him to the tough guy business. That is what keeps boxing alive worldwide. Fine. How do we explain that? How do we prepare for that? How do we judge that? How does the referee officiate it? It's a sport that we just made up on the spot. And what if it has legs? All sports started at what I just described. Some of them caught on and you go from there. But now you're having boxers that weren't good enough to make it a boxing, so they came over to this. You have MMA guys that weren't good enough in MMA, so they came over to this. They found somewhere to use these skills and meet in the middle to create new opportunity. I guess. And then I'm calling SportsCenter back for 4 and 5 times. I'm going broke in the process, but finally I can finally get some exposure. It's just weird. What would the website be called? hybridboxing/mma.org? What would I call it? If I want to go on a radio show and I want to buy spots and I want to get tickets to come down to the Staples Center where I'm putting this, how do I advertise it? Hey, guy, I'm not doing boxing. I'm not doing MMA. But if you like boxing and you like MMA, come on down here because I got an MMA guy taking on a boxer. And it's weird. It's weird, and it's not a sport. And real guys want real attention. I mean, this is the real disconnect, in all fairness. Anybody that you see that isn't going to fight for any reason, that's okay. But those reasons aren't real. They just don't want to fight. And that's okay. They don't want to lose face. For whatever reason, they don't want to get up and walk outside. They just don't. Maybe they did at one point. Maybe that fire left them. Maybe they were scared every time they overcame, but they've done it. They just need to get out. So when guys start offering these different rules, they're just trying to get out. That's okay. Let them go. The right guy will always show up. Always. There has never been an Olympic Games in history where somebody's sitting at home on the couch, slapped his buddy on the knee, and somebody's on the medal stand and goes, I could have won the Olympics. I just wanted to sit this quad out. It's never happened. The right guy will always step forward. Number 2 through 12, maybe not. But the best will always come forward. And I'll remind you of one more thing. Whoever would agree to rules opposite of theirs is a traitor. Period. If you ever met a black belt in karate who met a black belt in taekwondo, the black belt in karate will defend karate with his last breath. And the black belt in taekwondo will defend their art to their last breath. And so far, the MMA guys have showed a very light loyalty to their craft. They're willing to go over to the boxing ring. They're willing to acquiesce and throw their hands up. The boxers are not. The boxers have been very smart. They've even convinced the world you can make more money in boxing, which is simply not true. That's a whole nother discussion. But the point is, the boxers are standing their ground. The MMA guys are floating around instead of standing their ground. If you're not proud of your sport, get the hell out of it.